Good evening. That's the signal for us to get started. Welcome. I am award-winning science fiction author Martin L. Shoemaker, and you have discovered Dictation Trail, Building the Future, where I dictate the next chapter in my latest science fiction novel live on the treadmill, and you get to watch if you're so inclined. I will be recording and transcribing into Dragon Naturally Speaking and turning these into chapters of a Vela book on Amazon's Vela platform. So the goal here is I'm going to walk and talk for about an hour and then do a cool down. If there are any questions, I'll answer those. And the longer I put off talking or walking, the less exercise I get. And that's part of the point of this, is to get myself some healthy exercise. So let me get the treadmill ready and start my recording. Taylor wasn't very talkative after that, comma. So we both settled down to get some sleep, period. I wasn't as restless as the night before, comma, which was a good thing, comma. Comma, all hands, comma, Holmes. I wonder if it's really an emergency, comma, I said, period. New line. Does it matter? Question mark. Taylor answered as she opened her suit locker. Drills can kill, period. Even drills can be lethal on Mars, period. Training without risk isn't training, period. I already had my suitcase open as well and started donning my gear, period. It was smart preparation, period. If somehow the emergency were interior, comma, it wouldn't hurt to be suited, semicolon. But this far out, comma, emergencies were overwhelmingly likely to be external, comma, or something that needed the crawler, period. Either way, comma, we'd have to suit up, period. No sense in wasting time, period. Holmes continued, scratch that. Holmes continued, comma. We have personnel lost, period. Repeat, personnel lost, period. Student Gordon Martinez is not in the camp, period. We are mounting an immediate search and rescue, period. Everyone suit up, period. Mr. Donahue, comma, you are in charge, period. New line. Taylor and I glanced at each other, comma, and she nodded, period. There was our answer, colon. If there were a real emergency with a missing teammate, comma, Ames would be in charge. And already giving us instructions, period. This was a test of our emergency management skills, comma, with Martinez cast in the role of victim, period. New line. Donahue spoke next on the comm, period. All units, comma, Donahue, period. All personnel, comma, Donahue, period. Keep this main channel clear. For situation assessment, period. Read, comma, when did you last see Martinez? Question mark. Reed and Martinez had shared a tent that night, period. New line. She answered. He suited up and went out on the surface approximately 2 hours ago, period. He claimed orders from command, period. I nodded, period. Orders from command, and Ames and Holmes had instructed him to come out for his part in the drill, period. Almost anything was possible now, period. He might actually be lost out on the surface, comma, or he might be holed up in the crawler monitoring our progress with Holmes and Ames, period. All we could say for now was we were facing this drill, dash, dash, no, comma, this rescue, comma, damn it, exclamation point. Treat it like the real thing, period. Drill can kill, period. We were facing this search and rescue without our planetologist, period. without the full cooperation of Reed as well, period. I had a suspicion that she couldn't have watched Martinez leaving into the Martian night without curiosity about where he was going, period. I put the odds nearly even that she was under orders to plead ignorance about what Martinez was up to, period. New line. If Donahue suspected the same thing, comma, it didn't show in his voice, period. Reed, comma, Donahue, period. Confirmed, period. Missing 2 hours, period. Taylor, comma, Donahue, period. Patch into the crawler surveillance and the tent cam network, comma, and report his whereabouts, period. New line. Taylor paused in assembling her leggings, no, in assembling her torso piece long enough to pull up her comp and type some commands, period. Donahue, comma, Reed, period. Processing, period. New line. All personnel, comma, Donahue, period. Keep suiting up while she works, period. Report to town square. Best speed, period. I expect to see everyone in 5 minutes, period. New line. That. I was sure that it had been a tough call for Donahue, period. Taking too long to get a down check from Ames, comma, but missing a safety inspection could get a serious black mark, period. He was trusting his evaluation to our skilled with suiting up and inspection, period. I told myself not to let him down, period. New line. Donahue, comma, Taylor, comma. She continued, period. I have video from all tents and from all angles on the crawler, period. Martinez left his tent at the time reported by Reed, comma, confirmed on surveillance, period. He went to the crawler and then opened an exterior locker, period. He took out an air sled and added some supplies, comma, and he took off to the north, period. New line. Taylor, comma, Donahue, period. Can you pick up his tracks? Question mark. Donahue, comma, Taylor, period. Negative, period. The ground here doesn't take tracks, period. No loose dust, comma, just this broken earth, period. If I got close angles, comma, maybe, period. New line. Taylor, comma, Donahue, period. Confirmed, period. All personnel, comma, Donahue, comma, I am suited up and inspecting Hopewell's suit, period. As soon as that's done, I'll be out in the square, period. See you in 4, period. New line. He had suited up fast, period. He had the most excursion experience of all of us, comma. So that made sense in a way, semicolon. But after his suit leap last night, comma, I would have expected him to be more cautious, period. New line. I started on my girdle, comma, and I asked Taylor, comma, how reliable are those videos? Question mark. New line. She giggled, period. Not at all, period. I mean, comma, they were good, comma, but not good enough to fool me, period. They were obviously a sim, period. Part of ... New line. Drill can kill, comma, I said, period. New line. So we kept up the pace, comma, suiting up quickly, but then inspecting each other twice as thoroughly, period. When you're in a hurry, comma, the safest thing to do is double check, period. But that still put us, scratch that, new line. But that still put us on track to get out the town square on time, period. The square was our informal term for the open area between the half ring of tents and the crawler, period. It wasn't square at all, comma, but somehow the term town circle had never become popular, period. New line. As soon as Taylor was through the tent lock, comma, I squeezed through as well, period. On the outside, comma, I checked the seals to make sure we didn't come back to a deflated tent, comma. And I walked over to where the rest of the students stood in the square, period. I was the last, comma, and I was okay with that, period. We would be graded on safety first, comma, speed second, period. New line. As I approached, comma, Donahue stood in the middle of the group, comma, projecting a hologram of Taylor's videos, period. He took a air sled, comma, so he expected to be out a while, period. What's the gear he stacked on the sled? Question mark. New line. Taylor answered, comma, crawler inventory shows a power winch and climbing gear, including 200 meters of cable, period. New line. So he expected to do some climbing, comma, Hopewell said, period. No mountains around here, period. He must have been aiming for a chasm, period. Nearest, comma, I would presume, period. New. Yeah, comma, I said, period. That would fascinate him, period. See the planetary structure close up, period. New line. But I didn't believe it, comma, of course, period. Oh, comma, Martinez would want to see. That would be insanity, period. Drills can kill, comma, a recklessness will get you every time, period. All right, comma, Donahue said, period. Same pack, period. I want 3 air sleds, 3 winches, comma, and climbing gear for everyone, period. New line. What about medical supplies? Question mark. Hopewell asked, period. Already got it, period. Donahue lifted a case with a big red cross on it, period. Let's move, exclamation point. New line. New line. Took us another 5 minutes to pack, period. Plus 5 minutes to suit up, comma, 2 minutes of discussion, dot, dot, dot. We are at 12 minutes, period. Martinez could be dead 3 times over in that time, period. New line. That wasn't the way to think of it, period. That was never the way to think about it, comma, even if it wasn't a drill, period. Rushing would only add to casualty count, period. If a missing person was going to die that quickly, comma, there was nothing you could do for them anyway, period. First, you made sure the rescuers were safe, comma, then you performed the rescue, period. New line. Donahue turned to Taylor again, period. Video analysis, colon. Look at the ground here, period. There's no dust, comma. Can you see any signs of disturbance of the ground, period, question mark. Anything that would indicate which way he went, question mark. New line. Taylor turned her helmet cam down and looked at the broken ground, period. Yes, comma, commander, period. As person in charge, comma, that was his rank for this expedition, period. Some of these plates have moved, comma, and some are even broken, period. I think you can tell where he walked, comma, at least for now, period. She pushed a map to our heads-up displays, to our comps, comma, new line. I tried to see what she saw, comma, but I didn't have her image analytics routines to help me, period. Nor her expertise with video data. Period. I couldn't tell the difference, period. Maybe an expert like Martinez could have, comma, period, new line. But he wasn't there, dot, dot, dot. I began to suspect that was no accident, period. Deprive us of our expert, of our subject matter expert, comma, make us have to work harder for the rescue, period. Martinez would have seen something about this broken ground that would give an unfair edge in the exercise, period. We fanned out into a line, comma, each of us searching the ground 10 meters to either side as we walk forward along the probable course, period. I kept my attention on the ground, comma, but I'd always been a good multitasker, period. I could look and think, period. What would Martinez have seen that someone like, comma, say, comma, me, was likely to miss? Question mark. He was a planetologist, comma, with knowledge of Martian weather, comma, but his specialty was the geology, period. Things about this ground, period. To me, comma, it looked like any old dried up flatland, comma, where the earth had turned solid and cracked, period. No difference here, period. New line. No, comma. There was one difference, colon. Dried up flatland implied recent water through the area to turn the soil into a large sheet that would then dry out and crack, period. There was no recent water flowed here, period, comma, period. Even if it would make a great drill exercise, comma, if Ames was aware of recent water flows on the surface, comma, he would have reported them for sure, period. That would be much more important than our exercise, period. New line. I tried to think what this could mean instead, comma, but geology wasn't my specialty at all, period. I'd taken the required unit for survival school, comma, but I hadn't been able to follow it much, period. There's too much I didn't know, period. New line. So what did I know? Question mark. Damn it, comma. I knew of water settling the soil, comma, sun baking the soil, comma, and soil cracking, period. It's exactly what it looked like, period. New line. So if it happened that way, comma, it happened a long time ago, period. This broken ground was ancient, comma, even if it looked like last Thursday on Earth, period. New line. So in his fake exercise, comma, Martinez would have followed the broken ground heading towards the chasm, period. All right, period. How would that get him into trouble? Question mark. New line. I almost had it, comma, but Reed got to it first, period. All personnel, comma, Reed, stop, period. New line. Reed, comma, Donahue, period. Explain, period. New line. Donahue, comma, Reed, period. These broken plates around us are getting larger, period. This shows signs of ancient geological stress, comma, getting worse as we approach the chasm, period. I think the ground is becoming more fractured as we approach, comma, and probably fractured deeper, period. If it's all like this all the way to the chiasma edge, dot, 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 there could be a slide, period, or even a collapse, period. New line. I nodded, period. Reed had seen it before me, period. It made sense, period. New line. Reed, comma, Donahue, period. Recommendations, question mark. New line. Donahue, comma, Reed, period. Recommend single file with tethers between us, period. Air sleds in the back for extra mass, period. Lightest personnel first, period. New line. Donahue, comma, Taylor, period. Negative, period. Lightest personnel first after me, period. I've got the tracking imager, period. New line. Taylor, comma, Donahue, period. Agreed, period. Taylor, comma, Reed, comma, Knighton, comma, Hopewell, comma, me, comma, and then the air sleds, period. Let's tie up, period. New line. New line. So we tethered up and set out again, comma, now at a slower pace, period. Taylor shared her imagery with us, comma, and soon even I could see that the pieces were getting larger and more disturbed, semicolon, and also that we are heading downhill, comma, a very slight slope to the line we could see far to the north, period. New line. New line. We went another 30 minutes before Taylor called, comma, halt, period. All units, comma, all personnel, comma, Taylor, period, halt, period. New line. We all stopped, period. Taylor, comma, Donahue, period. What do you see? Question mark. New line. I'm pushing unenhanced audio, period. Enhanced video, period. Look, period. I saw a sped up loop of our travel on my comp, period. The spacing between plates is getting larger, period. I don't know if I think we have a collapse coming, period. She switched to another view. See, question mark, new line. The new view showed a crooked line of the chasm ahead of us, semicolon, and practically in the middle of our path, comma, it dipped, period. I hadn't noticed, comma, but it was easy once she pointed it out, period. New line. All personnel, comma, Donahue, period. Opinions, comma, please, period. New line. Reed was the first to answer, period. We need to get one person up to the decline, comma, as close as seems safe, comma, to send video back to us, period. New line. I agree, said Taylor, period. I think it should be, period. New line. Not so fast, you answered, period. I know you're our expert, comma, but that could be a reason to hold you back, comma, in case things get worse, period. Hopewell, comma, you're our lightest, period. Can you handle the data cam? Question mark. New line. I can, sir, comma, Hopewell answered, period. I'll vouch for her, comma, Reed answered, period. I've trained with her, period. New line. All right, comma, Donahue said, period. Let's tie the line as a solid anchor for us all to keep it steady, period. Then Hopewell, comma, you take the cam and go forward, period. New line. New line. The image Hopewell sent back was in the could have been worse category, period. It could have been a complete collapse, comma, something we could fall off, period. Or if we had been foolish enough to drive the crawler up here, comma, enough that we could take the whole thing down and never get it back. Period. New line. But instead, comma, the video showed a comparatively shallow defile, comma, as the south wall of the chasma dropped down like a stone waterfall and into a pile somewhere down below, period. I can get closer, comma, sir, comma, she said, period. New line. Hopewell, comma, Donahue, period. Negative, period. Come on back, period. As fast as you feel safe, period. New line. She made about double time getting back, comma, which I judged safe, period. She already knew the terrain a little bit, period. Meanwhile, comma, Donahue spoke to all of us, period. I see two possibilities, period. Martinez is under all that rock, comma, and there's nothing we can do for him, semicolon. Or Martinez is down at the bottom, comma, but free from the rock, comma, and we can haul him up, period. New line. I agree, comma, Reed said, period. New line. So we play it as if he's alive and needs rescue, colon. Hopewell, Reed, and Knighton, comma, go over those videos, comma, get Taylor's analysis, period. Find how close you can get to the defile, and she's still comfortable with it, period. Taylor and I will take the west side, period. A winch with each, period. Every 5 meters, comma, video your ground and send it to Taylor for analysis, period. Walk right up to the edge of that chasma until she tells you no, period. Note to self, colon, go back and have Taylor put drones on the sleds as well, period. Period. See what you can find, period. Any questions? Question mark? New line. Hopewell spoke up, period. And we still tether to each other in the sleds, comma, right, comma, sir, question mark, new line. We still tether, comma, Donahue, period. All right, period. He checked his comp, period. Martina is left with an air sled, period. If he's alive, comma, and if he's able to use that at all, comma, he's still breathing, period. If he's not, dot, 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 then it doesn't matter, period. So again, proceed as if, period. He's alive, comma, and we're going to find him, period. New line. New line. Halt. West team. Scratch that. West team, comma, halt. Exclamation point. Taylor said, period. Go no further until I analyze your video, period. Feel free to launch your drone, period. New line. So we stopped where we were, comma, and Hopewell unhitched the drone, period. All of us have been trained in drone surveillance, comma, but she'd gotten the best marks, period. So Reed and I didn't argue as she checked the power on the unit and sent it into the thin Martian air, period. Like everything on Mars, comma, it was silent, comma. With the air only able to transfer the most loud and low sounds, comma. So we had to track it just by eye, comma, and by computer, period. It was over the chasm edge for only 30 seconds, comma, when she said, comma, Commander, comma, Hopewell, period. I have him, period. New line. I pulled up the feed from the drone, comma, and saw a chasm at least 200 meters deep, period. A small figure at the bottom was waving up at the camera, period. New line. New line. That's a good stopping point for the audio, period. So I don't need to keep saying my punctuation, period. But sometimes, comma, it's a hard habit to break, period. I have a story about that, comma, if I can ever get it transcribed and out, period. New line. New line. So it's just about 7 o'clock, 1 hour for the meeting, period. And it's 58 and a half minutes for the walk. So I might as well go a full 60 and then a cool down. So the official part of the meeting is over, comma. When the cool down starts, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Kindle Vella and the stories I'll be putting up there. As I've mentioned before, I love my WorkFit executed treadmill with one of the dumbest names ever, but it does have its limitations. So at some point during the cool down, when I'm ready to stop, I'm going to have to grab my camera and take a picture of the final stats of the walk, because once I stop the treadmill, the final stats will be visible for about 15 to 30 seconds and then wiped. And that is 60 minutes at 50 elevation and 2 to 3 miles per hour. Now for cool down, I'll take it to 0% elevation and 1 mile per hour, which by comparison feels almost, but not quite, like going downhill, since I do most of my workouts at 15%. I knew I wanted, because it would do 15%, which is unusual for home treadmills. It's pretty common for the commercial treadmills you'll get at your gym, but for home treadmills, they consider 5% usually to be high elevation. I wanted 15% because that's what I worked at the gym before I decided it was easier to do my workouts at home. So that's why I got the treadmill with the horrible name. And I got in my habit of 15% and wondering what that was. And then I was planning an expedition that I ended up not taking because the cost was way out of my budget this year, maybe next year. If you're not familiar with Michigan, you've maybe never heard of the Mackinac Bridge, which is a bridge connecting the lower peninsula of Michigan to the southern, or to the upper. It's not lower and southern, it's lower and upper, or northern and southern. No, it's lower and upper. This bridge was finished, I believe, late 1950s, early 1960s. It is, from reports I have seen, the longest span from Anchorage to Anchorage of any suspension bridge in North America. I know all you people from San Francisco want to say the Golden Gate is the longest bridge. It's the Golden Gate, it's the biggest, it's the best, rah, rah, Golden Gate. Well, it's not. The Golden Gate has a longer span between supports, which makes sense because they've got ocean-going traffic going through there. They need to have lots of room for lots of traffic for very big ships. But the Mackinac has got practically ocean-going traffic. The Great Lakes are pretty much inland seas. We get big barges, just not ocean barges. We get a lot of traffic, just not ocean traffic. So we don't need quite the span between the supports, but we need a long span between the peninsulas. It's 5 miles. And every bit of that, you're on the bridge. It's not just between the inner span that you're on the bridge. the one and only time I drove over the Golden Gate Bridge, I kept waiting to say, where's the bridge? Where's the bridge? Where's the bridge? You come through this beautiful San Francisco park, and all of a sudden it's like, you've got about 15 seconds between the park and you're in the middle of that bridge. When you do this on the Mackinac, you've got, I forget the exact numbers, but you've got well over a mile on each end between the anchor point and the middle span. 5 miles total. And you're going uphill for the first half of that, and then downhill the other half, because it's getting you up above all that nearly ocean going traffic. So you're raising up from almost the level of the water up to high enough for big tankers and ore barges to pass under. So it's pretty close to constant uphill. So the reason why I bring this up and why I get into elevation is that the Mackinac Bridge is vehicle traffic only, powered vehicle traffic only. You must be legal on interstate highways to be legal on the Mackinac Bridge. Except for one day a year, Labor Day, when they close the bridge to vehicle traffic from 7 in the morning until noon. And people can cross the bridge on foot. And they've been doing this now, I think, since maybe early 70s, that one day you can go across the bridge. And I was thinking I would do that this year. What I keep forgetting is tens or more of thousands of people all have the same idea in mind. They all want to walk the bridge on the one day they can. And so it is the busiest tourist day in that area of the year. It is a day where the cheapest little drive-in motel is going for more than $140 a night. And you may have noticed the gas prices are not cheap, and I'd have to pay the gas to get up there and the gas to get down, and food prices are going up. And somebody'd have to watch Larry and Jerry, my cats, so I'd have to put them in boarding. And the rules have changed. They used to have shuttle buses, so you could walk one way across the bridge and then get a shuttle to go back. Years ago, they canceled the shuttle buses, so you have to get across and back on your own. I would be traveling alone, so you can't do the trick of one person parks on one side and on the other side. You can't get Uber for nothing, because the Uber, what's the word they call surge pricing? It's through the roof. I figured out that I could, in theory, if I worked really fast, cross both ways in the morning, because it's 5 miles one way, 5 miles back, total of 10 miles. And if you're not on the bridge by 10 o'clock, they won't let you cross. They'll let you go as far as halfway and then turn you back. And so you have to be able to make between 7 a.m. and noon, you have to be able to make 10 miles in 5 hours. Well, my walking rate on the treadmill at 15% is anywhere between 2 and 3 miles an hour. I could, in theory, do it. I'd be awfully tired when it was done. And of course, I did have the option, as I mentioned, to go halfway across and come back. And that would be 5 miles. That would be the equivalent of crossing the bridge. But you know, if you're going to do a trick like this, you want to actually cross the bridge. That's the goal, is to say, I walked from the lower peninsula to the upper peninsula the whole way on my feet, not in a vehicle. And then I had friends point out that, well, there's a ferry, and the ferry will take you to Mackinac Island and back to the mainland, or vice versa, back to the Lower Peninsula or vice versa. And they said, you know, what you do is you walk up across on Monday, see St. Ignace, the town on the other side of the bridge. Enjoy the day there. It's a beautiful little town. The next day, take the ferry across to Mackinac Island, see the island for the day, take the ferry back to Lower Peninsula. And now, since you've had 2 long days of walking and sightseeing, you stay overnight for another night. And by this time, most of the crowd has gone home. So you don't have to worry so much about getting out with 20,000 other people. I'm guessing at 20,000, I don't remember the statistics, but it's a lot. And so you don't have to worry about them. And also, you're going to want to show up at least a day early so you're not driving tired and walking tired. So you've got a chance to catch rest. And so you can see Mackinac City, which is the city at the southern edge on the Lower Peninsula. So that means if the walk is Monday and you need to start at 7 a.m., so you need to be waking up there at 7 a.m. because you need to be in line before 7 a.m. really. So you need to wake up there. So you need to be there Sunday night. But if you're going up a day early, you're going up Saturday night. And then coming back across on the ferry on Tuesday and leaving on Wednesday. So that's Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night. So that's 4 nights of hotel if you can find them in the area. And you're probably paying $150 a night. And you're paying tourist rates for food. And I looked at all of this. I'd love to do this, but it's not a responsible use of my money. I've got the time saved up, but it's not a responsible use of my money. And I'd miss my kitty cats, Larry and Jerry. I'd feel guilty putting them into a kennel for that long, even though the kennel they stay at is run by my vet, and everyone at the vet's office loves them and spoils them. I'd miss my kitties. So I'm not doing it this year. But as I was thinking about it and thinking, can I do this 10 miles an hour or 10-mile trip, round trip, in 5 hours? I said, well, that really depends in part on the elevation, because that bridge is steep. I mean, you get on that thing and start driving up, it looks like you're scaling a mountain. It really looks steep up there. So I said, well, but looks can be deceiving. So why don't I look up what the elevation of the Mackinac Bridge is? Good luck finding it. You can find elevation vertically, but elevation in terms of slope, I could not find anything at all. But I found an engineer's diagram of the bridge with all of the distances, horizontal and vertical, mapped out. And I can do simple trigonometry, and I can work this out and come to the conclusion that the steepest grade on that whole bridge is maybe 2%, maybe 2.1, really, maybe, but more likely 1.8 or so. It may look steep when you're on it. And then I talked to my coworker, Leo, because we work for Eaton Corporation doing diagnostic software for Eaton transmissions. So that puts us kind of in the truck business. And Leo's been in this business now for so long, I cannot imagine it. But Leo's been in forever Leo is actually a trained driver because sometimes you have to be able to test the software on the vehicle while it's running. So Leo is a certified trained driver. He knows his way in and around semis. And Leo said, yep, the US highway system is designed so that most inclines anywhere in the system are 2% or less. If you see a sign for a steep grade, you're something maybe 3%. Seldom is it any higher than that unless you're in dangerous mountain roads. And I showed him a picture of the bridge and he looked and he said, yeah, if you look at it from the side, that's under 2%. So I kind of felt disappointed. It looked like quite a challenge. If I do it next year, I'll try to save up for it. If I do it next year, I will probably plan to do both ways that morning, because 10 miles on what's essentially flat ground, nothing to it. Nothing to it. I can do that, no problem. I need to make sure I have good, safe shoes with good socks, make sure my feet are good and healthy, but nothing to it. All right, again, I need to take a picture of my treadmill settings because they won't last. I'm a little over my 75-minute mark. I'm at 75:40. So I'll go to 76 and snap my picture there. 48, 10, 5, 3, 2, 1. So the answer is 2.72 miles at 591 calories. That's a little less than I did on Friday. I got a little burned out, so I dropped my speed a little sooner than I did on Friday. I was 2.1 up to 3.1. I also spent the first minute forgetting to raise my speed and my elevation at all. So I lost a few calories of work there, but 591 calories for a session, I will take that. I'm happy with that. Good exercise. The story's going along nicely. And I promised to talk to you about Vela. I didn't because I got busy talking about the bridge, but I will have a new story. It's actually out already on Kindle Vela, and I'll talk about it next time, and I'll also have some links in my newsletter. So until next time, I will be doing Dictation Trail Wednesday and Friday this week if you want to sign up and get in on the call. See you then. Goodbye.